Hi book huggers, this is Jen, and this is the one where we start talking about books. Seal clap! Books, yes, that's why we're here. Well, that's why I'm here. Today I wanted to talk about how I read and where I get my books, and then we can all talk about what we're reading right now. And by we, I mean all of us, not necessarily the royal we. You get that. You get that. I usually read a bunch of books at once. I read a lot of YA because I work with teens at my job and also because I love it with my whole heart, but I also read just about everything else. And I usually have at least one physical book that I'm reading, which I like to call books. So I have at least one book that I'm reading, one or two books on my Kindle, an audiobook that I listen to while I walk back and forth to work, and comics through the Comixology app on my iPad. So I usually have a lot going on. I get these lovely books by buying them, of course, checking them out from my library, downloading them from my library through the Overdrive app, both in ebook and audiobook form. And there's a really cool perk to being a librarian because publishers will send advanced copies and promotional copies of books to our library to see if we want to buy them for the library, but also to get us really excited about them so we can talk about them to our customers. So I get books that way too. I also download eGalleys or digital ARCs from websites like NetGalley or Edelweiss. If you're a librarian, a bookseller, a book blogger, or a booktuber, you can also apply to these sites to get free eGalleys. And I'll link to those sites in the bookshelves below. Here's a tip though, when you fill out the description, when you fill out the application, be sure to put exactly what it is that you do in the book world, because that will make it easier for you to get approved for titles. So now that that's out of the way, let's get down to what I'm reading right now. The book that I'm currently reading is Don't Ever Change by m.beth, and it's a contemporary realistic YA novel about a girl named Eva who is a recent high school graduate and she wants to be a writer, and she's determined to have a summer worth writing about. What I love is that she says whatever door is open, she's going to walk through. Metaphorically and I'm assuming literally. It's really good so far. I'm about halfway through, and the character is really good. It's really fast-paced. It's just a really great summer read. So I'm excited about finishing this one. On my Kindle right now, I'm reading two books. The first book is A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah Moss, and it is so good. I think I'm about to have my librarian license revoked because I haven't read Throne of Fire series by Sarah Moss. But if it's anything as good as this one, I am going to read it very soon. A Court of Thorn and Roses is loosely based on Beauty and the Beast, and it involves the Fae, which, I will not lie to you, used to make me run away from books. Like, if it had fairy in the description, I was out. But this summer I've read two books. The first one was Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black, and now this one, and I love them. They're so good, so maybe fairies are now my thing. So there you go. The second book I'm reading on my Kindle is called Loving Day by Matt Johnson, and I read about it on Goodreads, and I immediately bought the ebook, mostly because I'm super impatient and it was checked out at my library and it wasn't at my local bookstore, and so I had to have it immediately. This video is already getting longer than I wanted it to be, so I'm not going to go too far into the description because there's a lot going on, so I'll link to this book and all the books that I'm talking about in the bookshelves below, and you can go check it out. The story has to do with racial identity and family and place. Well, that's really descriptive, isn't it? But it has to do with all of that, plus there are ghosts, so there's a paranormal aspect, and the writing so far is really witty and just really well done, and I'm super excited to finish it and talk to you about it when it's over. The audiobook that I'm listening to this week is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, and it's narrated by Laura Knight Keating. It's made the rounds of BookTube, so I'm sure you've heard about this book. It's about a girl named Laura Jean who writes really long letters to her crushes in order to get over them and to move on. And she keeps them in a hat box in her closet, and then all of a sudden the hat box goes missing and the letters start finding their way to the boys that she wrote them to. She has to troubleshoot that situation as fast as possible. I really like Jenny Han's books. For those of you who haven't read the Burn for Burn series by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian, I highly recommend them. They're amazing. And I'm really liking this one as well. It's very different, but I really like the characters and it's keeping me walking, and so I get an A+. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the book, so you'll hear all about it when I'm done. And finally, on Comixology, I am trying desperately to catch up with Ms. Marvel and Saga and Lumberjanes, and then finish up the most recent reboot of Batgirl and Black Widow. These are all my absolute favorite comic book series right now, but this summer's been kind of nutty and I've fallen a little bit behind. So this week I am making an effort to catch up, and I'm loving it. Now, that's everything I'm reading right now, but what are you reading? I have to know. And how do you feel about reading on multiple platforms? Are you strictly a book person? Do you read ebooks, audiobooks, or like me, do you read all of those kinds of things at once? I have so many questions. Thanks for watching. I'm going to be back on Wednesday with my very first Top 5 Wednesday video, and I'm super excited about it, so I'll see you then. Bye!